What makes a tank truly successful? Thicker armor, a bigger gun, or a more powerful engine? The T-34-76 wasn't the best in any of those categories, yet it became one of the most influential tanks of the Second World War. So, how did it achieve that? In this video, we'll take a detailed look at the T-34-76, its sloped armor, its 500 horsepower diesel engine, its Christie suspension, its 76.2mm F-34 gun, and the engineering brilliance that made it one of the most important tanks in military history. The T-34-76 was a medium tank developed by the Soviet Union. It entered service in 1940. With approximately 35,000 units produced, it became one of the most widely manufactured tanks in history. Its 76.2mm main gun, its sloped armor, its V2 diesel engine, and its wide tracks. Together, they delivered a remarkable balance of firepower, protection, and mobility. The vehicle later became the foundation of the T-34-85. Eventually, it became the standard medium tank of the Soviet armored forces. The main reason behind the development of the T-34-76 was that the Soviet Army's T-26 and BT series tanks were no longer adequate for modern warfare. The new design was based on the A-32 prototype and entered mass production in 1940. The priority was clear: powerful firepower, adequate armor protection, high mobility, and ease of mass production, all combined into a single platform. The T-34-76 measured approximately 6.68 meters in length, 3 meters in width, and 2.45 meters in height. Depending on the production version, its combat weight ranged from 26.5 to 30 tons. The crew consisted of 4 men: the driver, the radio operator, the commander, who also served as the gunner, and the loader. Having the commander perform both roles was considered one of the tank's most significant design weaknesses. One of the T-34-76's most distinctive features was its hull design. Built from steel plates, the hull featured sloped armor. Although the frontal armor was only 45 millimeters thick, its 60-degree angle provided a much higher level of effective protection. The sloped design increased the distance an incoming shell had to travel through the armor, and also increased the chance of enemy rounds ricocheting. The side armor measured approximately 40 to 45 millimeters. The rear armor was approximately 40 millimeters thick. The turret of the T-34-76 was produced in either welded or cast form, depending on the production period. Early vehicles used welded turrets. Later production shifted toward cast turrets. Only 2 crew members operated inside the turret. The commander had to spot targets, aim the main gun, fire the weapon, and command the tank, all at the same time. That heavy workload reduced the tank's effectiveness, especially during fast-moving engagements. It was one of the main reasons why the later T-34-85 adopted a 3-man turret. The T-34-76 was powered by the 38.8-liter V234 V12 diesel engine, producing around 500 horsepower. It allowed the tank to reach speeds of 50 to 55 kilometers per hour on roads. The diesel engine was chosen for several reasons: high torque, lower fuel consumption, and a lower fire risk than gasoline engines. The engine used a liquid cooling system. Early production vehicles experienced problems with their air filters, but the introduction of the Cyclone air filter solved most of those issues. With a fuel capacity of approximately 460 to 540 liters, the tank could travel about 300 kilometers on roads and roughly 200 kilometers across rough terrain. Power was delivered to the tracks through a manual transmission with 5 forward gears and 1 reverse gear. The Christie independent suspension, combined with tracks nearly 500 millimeters wide, allowed the T-34-76 to move confidently confidently through mud, snow, and soft ground, terrain that challenged many of its opponents. It could climb slopes of around 60 degrees, cross trenches up to 2.5 meters wide, and with preparation, ford water obstacles up to 1.3 meters deep. The T-34-76's primary weapon was the 76.2mm F-34 tank gun. Its barrel length was 41.5 calibers. It could fire both armor-piercing and high-explosive ammunition, depending on the production version. The tank carried approximately 77 to 100 rounds. The most common ammunition types included the BR-350A armor-piercing round and the OF-350 high-explosive fragmentation round. Because accuracy while moving was relatively poor, crews usually stopped the tank before opening fire. In addition to the main gun, the T-34-76 carried two 7.62mm DT machine guns. One was mounted in the hull, the other was coaxially mounted alongside the main gun. These weapons were primarily used against infantry, helping conserve valuable main gun ammunition. Depending on the production period, the tank used different optical sights, including the TOD-6, TMFD-7, and PT-47. Although these optics performed their intended role, their image quality lagged behind German Zeiss optics. Early production vehicles also lacked a commander's cupola, further limiting battlefield visibility. For communications, the tank used the 9R radio, later followed by the improved 9RS. These radios significantly improved coordination between Soviet armored units, especially during the later stages of the war. One of the T-34-76's greatest strengths was its ease of production. Its simple hull design, welded steel construction, and standardized components allowed multiple factories to build the tank at the same time. Throughout the war, production took place in Kharkov, Stalingrad, Nizhny Tagil, Gorky, Omsk, and Chelyabinsk. Approximately 35,000 T-34-76 tanks were produced, making it one of the most widely used medium tanks in history. When evaluating its battlefield performance, it would be inaccurate to call the T-34-76 superior in every situation. In 1941, its armor and firepower gave it a significant advantage over the Panzer III and early Panzer IV tanks. However, as the war progressed, long-barreled Panzer IVs, the Panther and the Tiger, gradually reduced that advantage. By 1943, the 76.2mm F-34 gun was beginning to struggle against heavily armored targets. However, the T-34-76 was never designed solely for one-on-one tank duels. Its primary mission was to advance rapidly, support the infantry, break through enemy defenses, and operate as part of large-scale armored formations. Thanks to its simple design, it could be repaired quickly behind the front lines, damaged components could be replaced with relative ease, and the tank could return to combat without requiring complex maintenance equipment. These qualities proved to be a major advantage throughout the long and demanding battles of the Eastern Front. By 1943, the arrival of more powerful German tanks made the 76.2mm gun increasingly inadequate. In response, the Soviet Union developed the T-34-85. It featured a larger turret, a three-man turret crew, and the more powerful 85mm ZS S-53 gun. With these improvements, the T-34 platform remained in frontline service until the end of the war. The T-34-76 was not a perfect tank. Its two-man turret, limited visibility, and heavy, difficult-to-operate transmission were significant weaknesses. Even so, its sloped armor, its powerful diesel engine, its outstanding cross-country mobility, and its production-friendly design allowed it to overcome many of those shortcomings. What made the T-34-76 truly exceptional was not a single outstanding feature. It was the balance of all its systems working together as one complete engineering solution. So, do you think the T-34-76 truly deserves to be called the most successful medium tank of the Second World War? Or does another tank deserve that title? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, applications and support Warkon SteelLab. In our next video, we'll take an in-depth look at another legendary armored vehicle of the Second World War. Until then, take care.